Pennfield recently.
Yes, it's been a long process, about a year-and-a-half process. We started with a strategic planning process in the district about a year-and-a-half ago through the board, bringing a lot of data in, surveying, community meetings, finding out what the community thought our needs.
Mm-hmm.
And we came up with 4 goals: academic achievement, obviously, professional development, communication, and then facility upgrade was one of the big concerns of the community.
That's interesting because so much the perspective on these sorts of things is, okay, you make the request and you hope that the community supports it. In your case, you're saying, let's ask them to tell us what they think the priorities are.
Exactly. That's exactly what we did. We had a sinking fund, I think it was 2012, 2011. It did not go very well.
Mm-hmm.
And so we felt that we wanted to go out and find out what the community wanted, what their needs were, what they were tolerant of as far as anything that we could do to improve some of our facilities. So it's been a long process, a really good process, and involving parents, students, staff, and most importantly, the community.
Would you say that what you heard from the community is concurrent with what you wish you could do?
Yeah, I think that a lot of the data that we got and a lot of information we felt that that was going to come out of the study. But it was getting those people that are involved with the community, the stakeholders involved, was a good process, and we heard a lot of things that are going to help us as far as future making changes.
And we'll talk more about what some of those things are coming up and the timing of all of this in Pennfield in just a minute on WBCK 8:30. 15 WBCK. Tim Everett is here, superintendent at the Pennfield Schools. We're talking about money today, among other things. As well, it is interesting that you pointed out that you wanted this to be a community-driven effort, and so you asked the community, what do you think we need in the schools? And that worked out nicely because you presume then that you have more buy-in than if you were to say, here's what we need, sign here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like I said, we had a long list of facility needs, and we had a steering committee that went through those needs, and we got community impact to it, and a lot of the things we could take care of ourselves. A lot of the things that we realized we were going to take care of through our general fund, and so it kind of also through the process kind of divided things too. Where's our priorities from this list? What can we take care of? What can we take care of now? What will we save for, and all that? So it was a very good process to go through.
Before we talk about specifics here, what you'd like to do, would you say that the needs Pennfield has are pretty typical as you compare to other districts your size?
Yeah, I think so. I think some of the needs that we're looking at is roof repair at the middle school that has been going on for a long time that we've need. Heating and cooling, HVAC, it's been a big part of what we're looking at also, and that is something that I think a lot of districts are struggling with. Older buildings, older equipment that need upgrades, and some of these upgrades are expensive, and I know that you've had other superintendents here, and you compare it to a homeowner trying to keep up with the repairs of your house, and you have major repairs, you have minor repairs, and just trying to keep up with all of those. So,
is that difficult to convey to those taxpayers in your district? It's just like your house; you got to pay this. Does the light go on when you say that?
I think so. I think that, a lot of people realize that, and and then things happen in your home. Things break that are big, and you need to sometimes go get a loan to try to fix some of those things. And like I said, some of those things are just maintenance, upkeep that you do on a yearly or basis that we're doing here at Pennfield. So.
When you evaluated when to make the ask, May was certainly an option, but you've opted for August now.
Yeah, we started this process specifically looking at bond last fall, and we were looking at May. And we had worked and got some numbers. We had, like I said, we had a steering committee that looked at the long list of facility needs that we had. Was going through that process. About mid-December, the board kind of felt like, you know what, we don't want to rush this. We want to make sure we're communicating with the public, that we have time to do that. We don't want to just have to rush through something. So they kind of said, let's step back and look at August. So that's what we've been doing since then, kind of stepping back. We had some more community meetings, and some of the community meetings we had after that was, what is the tolerance level of the voters out there? What can we ask for where we feel comfortable that's going to pass? Because we don't want to go through this cycle of, we're going out to bond and bond and bond.
Yeah.
We're trying to find out what is the tolerance level of the people in district. So it gave us time to do that. So.
Yeah, fatigue, obviously, if you keep asking,
Right.
then it becomes less and less tolerant. So what were the conclusions that you reached on that? How tolerant are they?
Well, we started off with three possibilities. One was a proposal for about $4 million, a little over $4 million. We recently refinanced our bond that we presently have from the high school, and we could raise about $4 million with extending that bond about 3 years. So that would have really not raised millage at all. Now, that wouldn't have got us everything that we needed. It could have gotten some things, but we still had some needs there. So the other was to put two proposals out there, a 1 and a 2. And the second proposal would be a 0.75 mil increase, raise another roughly $3.5 million, about $4 million also. So then the third proposal was, let's just combine these, go for 0.75 mil, 8.25 million, and go that route. And through our surveys, through our community meetings, that seemed to be the preference of the community, is to come out with one. Don't confuse people with two ballots, just one ballot. These are our needs. Let's go that route, and so that's what we're going to do.
Keep it simple.
Keep it simple.
So it tends to be clear when we start talking about numbers about the average cost for homeowners in the district when you talk about this. Have you broken that down?
We have. Now, you and I talked, Lakeview interviewed, and they're going in May, so their numbers are a little bit more specific as far as their homeowner. But we've looked at the average homeowner, and it's going to cost them we feel right now, about $37 a month. $37 a year.
Okay.
About a little over $3 a month to do that too. So
it seems quite palatable.
We think, and that's what people were saying at these community meetings, that we could live with that. So we hope, but we still have a lot of work to do. We're still early, as I said. We're just going to the state with our application. We'll have our ballot language in May. And then we're going to have to get out and let people know what we need, why we need it, and let them make the decision.
Superintendent Tim Everett is here from the Pennfield Schools. We'll continue with this line of discussion coming up in just a moment on WBCK Weather-Wise. Thursday, Tim Everett's here, Pennfield Superintendent. We've been talking about a bond request that will come in August, and that's going to be, first Tuesday in August, probably?
Yeah, August 2nd.
Okay. We'll be ready for that. And, when you look at the general climate for schools, this is a big issue, keeping up with facilities and improvements and going through this process. I suppose another one, when you look particularly at bigger districts, certainly Battle Creek is trying to deal with this right now, the enrollment question and trying to make sure that the district is the right size for its constituents. Is this a challenge you see in suburban districts too?
Yeah, I think so. We have some school of choice students. My philosophy coming in as superintendent is that, we're not going to go out and recruit kids, but we're going to try to provide a safe environment where kids can learn. And if people choose our schools, that would be great. Just to let you know, I think Kim at Battle Creek is doing a very good job, and I think I hope the residents of Battle Creek and the school community of Battle Creek gives her a chance. I think she's got some good ideas. Combining some grade levels in buildings, I think looking at transportation. So I know there's talk and frustration sometimes of when these changes, and especially when you close buildings.
Sure.
We've been through that, not necessarily closing buildings, but having to downsize. It's a difficult decision, but I'm working with her and the other superintendent, and I think she's got a lot of good ideas. I hope the Battle Creek community gives her a chance on that. So.
Yeah, the situation there and elsewhere seems to be pretty typical. I mean, with the opportunity to choose where you want to go, there's fluctuations in enrollment.
There is, and like I say, I think as superintendents, we're meeting together. Battle Creek Vision is also something that we're looking at doing, so trying to bring us together. I think having successful school districts in the Battle Creek area is only helpful to all of us.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I say, I think Kim's doing a good job at Battle Creek, and I hope that she gets the support she needs.
One of the other new realities of schools these days is dealing with threats. Boy, did we have a wave of that recently, and as I've talked with folks in your position, some of them have said, it's just a different world now than it used to be. Sort of tongue-in-cheek kind of jokester things don't come across the same way as they used to.
They don't, and we take all threats seriously, and as all the other districts do, and we have a good working relationship with, in our case, the county sheriff's department and other districts with their local police departments, and we communicate regularly with them, and if they see a threat and we see a threat, then we're going to follow through on it. We just can't take those chances, and that's part of the bond. Also, things that we're looking at. We have 2 buildings. All of our buildings are locked, and you have to go through a secure entrance. But we have 2 buildings where you don't necessarily have to come through the office before you go, and we have good staff that monitor that and make sure. But that's one of the things in our bond request is to make sure that when people enter, they have to go through the office. Just another security measure there that helps.
Boy, when you and I went to school, you could come in any old door, and there was
probably
a sign that said check in at the office, but you were on the honor system to do that. And it's different now.
You were. It is different. It is different. We live in a different world, and as you know, you guys do the news, so you see this all over the place. But we pride ourselves on being secure and in a safe environment, and parents entrust us to do everything we can to keep their children safe when they're at our district, and we do the best we can. And like you said, we take any threat very seriously.
Yeah, this last wave did include Pennfield, but it seemed like that lockdown came and went really quick. I presume that the process that you've expressed as the one to follow in these cases just went quickly.
It went quickly. The threat came right at the end of the school day. So it was a real quick decision as far as, okay, we're in lockdown. We called the police. They were there supporting. And it went quick, and to the credit of their job, they found out the student that had made that threat, and we were secure, and we were able to send all the kids home safely. So it kind of happened right at the end of the day, so that's why it's fairly quick. So we take everything seriously, and hopefully this can be a learning for everyone in the community that you can't be making these kind of threats anywhere.
All right. Well, we'll stay in touch as you get closer to August.
I appreciate it. Thank you for the opportunity.
Tim Everett, Superintendent at Pennfield Schools, WBCK.